Hey guys, welcome back to the Revive Stronger podcast. As always, I am your host, Steve Hall, and today I have Charly Joung on the podcast. There's a reason why I've paused so much on that. You'll find out why in the podcast. And we talk all about Charly, how he became to work with RP, how he transitioned to bodybuilding, his future plans and goals, and how his recent bodybuilding prep went, what is different in his training to Mike's, many questions like this and more. It was a really fun chat, so definitely enjoy that. And as a reminder, please, if you have time, take a moment, head over to Spotify and rate us out of 5. Give us a 5 out of 5, please. We have over 100 ratings there now, which is fantastic, so we can reach more people. And as ever, if you're listening to this, tag us over on Instagram. Make sure that we know that you're listening. I like to see all of those and share the podcast around. It's highly appreciated. Thank you guys. And without further ado, let's get into the show. Hi guys, welcome to the Revive Stronger podcast. I'm your host, as always, Steve Hall, and today I have Charly Banks on the podcast. Charly has been on once before, and that was three-way with Jared and Mike as well. And I think the majority of our listeners tune into a lot of the episodes of Mike, and so hopefully they're already following Team Full Rom, and they're following Charly as well. And
I like how my name is also getting my internet persona and my real life persona is getting mashed together. That's the first time someone called me Charly Banks. I usually get Charlton, which is neither are my name.
Wait, this is because Instagram names are becoming people's real life names now.
Yeah.
And this is confusing people, including myself. I probably didn't make that mistake the first time you were on, though. I probably got it right, and I've just
you got it right, and you pronounced my last name correctly, which is
Jung.
Kudos to you, Jung. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I'm just realizing what I've done here. I want to restart, but
hey, go ahead. We'll pretend it like that happened.
It's because I'm looking at, I think I've got some notes here and it's like your Instagram handles there and I can see Charlton Banks. I'm like, no, I know Charly's like what you normally are called, not Charlton.
I don't fault you for it because, you're overseas and, Charlton Banks is a play off of Carlton Banks, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which is a, US TV show. So, yeah.
I haven't watched that in a long time. It's kind of like The Simpsons. I've not really, it's like going, but I don't actually realize it. Too much into anime nowadays.
Yeah.
Not keeping up with that stuff. So yeah, hopefully people know Charlton Banks over on Instagram, or Charly Joung. Sorry, I'm going to say it wrong and go completely off here. So he is well affiliated. Well, he works for RP, and actually that's the first. Well, and he works for RP. Team Full Rom has his own clothing business as well, which is really cool, and is a competitive bodybuilder and was previously a very competitive powerlifter. But we're not too interested at that over on this channel, so we won't talk too much about it. But Charly, I think I'm interested as well, although I think I have a pretty decent idea, but probably not a very in-depth one. What is it you do at RP? I think people would probably be interested to hear.
Just a little bit of marketing here and there. Yeah, no, I'm the VP of marketing and branding over at RP. So, anything you see in terms of marketing, advertising, branding, all that, customer facing assets, I kind of oversee over here at RP. So
that doesn't mean you run the RP Strength Instagram, does it?
I don't run it. No, actually, my wife is actually has started working for RP about mid 2021, and she's a social media manager. But a lot of the copy and assets that we put forth in there, gets run by me also. So kind of oversee things here in that regard.
What was it where were you before that, and how did you get to be in the position you're in?
So I started working for RP. This is my 5th year.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Prior to that, I worked in finance, budget, for health insurance company, Comcast. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Comcast, a big telecommunications company here over in the States. Things like that, all in budget and finance. Got bored of that. That's right around the time I kind of met Mike, and we started chatting. And I kind of just started over here at RP, trying to set up, I guess, their partnership, athletes, affiliation program, and kind of here I am now. So.
Yeah, I can actually imagine. I mean, I can't imagine because I haven't done it, but we have a small team of coaches at Revive, and like it's hard enough communicating and staying in touch, let alone kind of trying to communicate with all your different athletes, which I imagine there's actually a lot more than I'm even at all aware of, because I know there's a lot into CrossFit and everything.
For sure. So right around the time, I'm not sure when you were, I guess, aware of RP's existence. Do you remember their old logo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing I did coming on board after the whole, when they decided to kind of let me help rebrand, is I got rid of that.
Yeah. I like the old logo, but I imagine it's not very,
not very aesthetically pleasing. So yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I should know off the top of my head, but I think it was 2015 was when we brought, me and Mike Samuels at the time brought over James and Mike, and that was my first, like, I read the Scientific Strength book, The Principles of Strength Training, and I was like, wow, this has packaged things up and made it really understandable versus everything else I've read. So then we brought Mike and James over, and that's where my relationship with those guys really started. And then we started kind of getting Mike on the podcast because he's insanely smart and good at answering questions, and that's where the Q&A exploded. So yeah, it sounds like you were, it kind of been long after that where they kind of started rebranding and becoming, I mean, they really
a couple of years after that. Yeah, I think when you kind of linked up with them, it was still, the logo was still, was it the weird silhouette of the Jack guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we call him Trap Man over here because he has just like disproportionately large traps like that no one would ever have. And yeah, I killed him. Sorry, guys.
So I guess actually, I mean, it's hard to say, but you could be responsible for a lot of the growth of RP as well, because despite being behind the scenes, like RP have done very well since the time you've been there, which is awesome. So we've got to give a bunch of credit
we all play our
Charly.
part. Yeah. No, we all play our part. It's not a one-man team over here for sure. Everyone's super talented, super driven, and always looking for places to grow and improve here at RP, which is why I love working here. There are no slackers here, right? Everyone's improving the company and themselves, and just it's a real pleasure to work with a crew like this. So.
Awesome. It's good to know. And so something I wanted to shift gears. I know before bodybuilding, you were into powerlifting, and that was kind of the way you were going. But you've not been into bodybuilding actually that long. It's been like, is it less than 5 years where you've been formally like specifically? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years or so, I'd say.
And I think I've seen you do a Q&A before where someone has asked, like, will you ever go back to powerlifting? Are you out and out a bodybuilder now? Are you sold?
Oh yeah. I've decided a long time ago, pretty much at that 3-year mark, that I will never return to powerlifting. It's just I gave it up because of constant recurring like training injuries, not severe ones, just like the the nagging ones that just didn't let me train how I wanted to, and kind of knew my limit at that point, and kind of shifted gears under the advice of Mike, and here I am now, an okay bodybuilder.
Hella jacked. The last show you did, I shared your shot. I don't tend to do too many of those sort of like sharing of like, I don't know, other competitors and things, but I was just like, man, like it was just an incredible video of just showing off like your physique and the potential that you have, which is really exciting, because you're only 3 years in, which is crazy. Not to discredit all the work you did before that, because you're already pretty jacked.
Yeah. I had a decent amount of muscle, before, from powerlifting, covered in about a few layers of fat, but it was there.
For you, Charly, what were the biggest changes you initially had to kind of, or if you struggled with any of them, or the biggest changes to your training from powerlifting getting into bodybuilding?
Oh, that would be easy one. That would be focusing on the mind muscle connection and not just moving weights, not just moving the most weight I can, because that's what a powerlifter does, right? You're just trying to find little tricks, little tips from people just to kind of be able to move more weight, and you don't care about mind muscle connection whatsoever. And that's something I'm still learning. It's a never ending learning process. Every time I think I've hit that level of like, oh, this is like, man, this is what it is. And then like a few months later, that mind muscle connection improves. I get bigger pumps. I really feel that muscle engage during that movement. When I first started, the first year and a half or so, about that. Back movements, rows, pull downs, I couldn't feel it at all. And when it at all, like pump did not exist. I didn't know what it was back there. I couldn't feel the muscle, but now, every time I train back, like I get the gnarliest pump back there. And I think I've, figured it out. But, like I said, months down the line, I'll figure out, maybe a new tempo on the eccentric or concentric that helps me even feel it more. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I think I'm exactly the same, because I think I went through a period where it was like, particularly for back, I don't know if you're the same with this, Charlie, but there's like pristine, perfect technique on paper. And if you do it like that, it's all right. But then for some things like pull downs, if I am just use a little bit more kind of drive on the way down, like it just feels that much better.
Yes.
But someone might be like, but you're moving that a little bit quick. Do you find that for back training, like some of them you have to use almost like a bit of more force than that concentric?
It's funny that you bring that up. So the first mesocycle of this prior prep I did, I decided to put a really, really big focus on technique, on like perfecting technique. And to me, that was pretty much zero momentum, right? Total control of the weights throughout the whole range of motion, eccentric, concentric. And I had the same experience as you. I just was not getting the same amount of pumps as I was, disruption, all that jazz. And then I had, a chat with Mike, and he said, that's where you want to start, but, everyone's a little different. And if you were feeling big pumps with a little bit more, maybe, momentum, let's say, like a little more force on the way down to kind of get that contraction, like during a pull down, for you, that's perfect technique. The perfect technique is what gives you the best SFR for that movement. It doesn't just mean that you're controlling the weight the whole way through. And then, as soon as he said that, it clicked. I'm like, that's obvious, right, to me, but it's something that needs to be said. Something I've been told. And as soon as I started kind of going back to my old ways, boom, huge pumps again, soreness, all that jazz. So, yeah.
I like that. And I think the listeners will appreciate that as well, because I think we probably have a lot of potentially younger guys who are kind of wanting to have that like full ROM and like perfect technique. And that's probably a really good starting point for them, because they probably don't have the ability to have like the mind muscle connection. But like you said, as you get more experience with it, you start developing that. And then you start potentially doing it a little bit different to how like textbook it is.
It's nuance, right? It's like slight shifts. It's not like, we're not saying that, heaving the weight up during a row is going to be good for anyone. Like, likely not, right? But maybe a little bit of, hip drive right off the ground just to get it started. It might give you a better contraction up top. Who knows? Yeah. So things like that.
And actually, because we're on the topic, this wasn't a question, but it's something I'm interested about. I don't know how long Team Full ROM have been a thing, but I'd be interested to hear how it developed, what the future, or actually you've already just recently released I guess what would have been a future plan, but it's now a full thing. So you can talk about that a little bit. But personally, it's surprising. Like, I know like there's always in the industry when you say something like, I don't know, you're a team, or like it feels dogmatic, but people kind of understand what the messages behind it. And it's really nice, I think, actually. And I think it spread a really positive message throughout like bodybuilding. But yeah, anyway, how did it come to be and where's it going?
Yeah, so now that I think about it, so when Mike and I were training partners, when he lived in Philadelphia, we, train, and I think you already know, between sets, all we do is joke around. We joke around the whole time, like make fun of like pretty much like not actual people are there, but the typical gym bro, like, hey brother, what's up? Da, 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 right? So we kind of had the idea like we should make t-shirts that kind of like poke fun a little bit at that, and also, maybe kind of promote, what we think is proper training. So that was like last year or a year and a half, about a year ago. I started making some t-shirt designs, and that's all it was, and we're having fun with it, and people seem to like it. People bought into it, and like you said, now we have this kind of community that we just started, and people seem to really enjoy it. We already have over 300 members, and everyone's in there chatting with each other, kind of bouncing ideas off each other about training and diet and all that stuff. And yeah, it started as a joke, pretty much.
So I'm guessing it isn't like you haven't got like a business objective for 2022. It's more of a, let's see, it's more of not a hobby as such, but more of just a enjoyment, like an enjoyable side project that seems to be actually going pretty well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's very cool to see. Actually, I told Mike, but I'm going to tell you now, and I don't know how much it means, but I was kind of I guess surprised is the wrong word, but I was like, wow, this is awesome. There was someone in my gym. I'm just in Vauxhall, London. Like, it's just a commercial gym that I train at. And there was a guy there with, he had what was it? Are you scared of the depth or something? I can't remember what it says exactly, but he had
Are you afraid of deep squats? Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. So he had that t-shirt on. Unfortunately, I think I was deep in prep, and also like nearing the end of my workout. I was like, I'm not going to kind of go out my way to go speak to
for sure.
Guy,
I know. I totally understand you at that point. It's just like I want to say something, but it requires energy and movement and thoughts.
I hate being that person in the gym, but the last, you know what it's like, the last month of prep.
Yeah, for sure. I know that feeling, especially for you guys. It's much harder.
Maybe. I have no idea. So actually, talking about prep, that is something I wanted to talk about, was your first season, and then also reflecting upon this past season. How have you felt like they've gone for you? What were your kind of biggest take homes from each season? And I guess, yeah, that's a good place to start.
Well, I'd say my first prep, for my first show in early 2021, it was my first one. I mean, the only other kind of prep we've done was the year prior. We did like a little test one, like leading up to a show that we may or may not have done. We end up not doing it because COVID, it shut everything down.
I thought, yeah, you didn't actually. I actually just watched a video today where you were like, we just did a practice photo shoot. Yeah.
So it's pretty much just like a diet, intense diet, rather than a full prep. But my actual first prep in 2021, that went pretty smooth. We learned a lot from that kind of like test prep, whatever you want to call it, the year prior. Yeah, I mean, I'd say I got pretty lean. I think the show went well. Got overall at the St. Louis NPC, whatever championship, whatever it's called. Either way, my whole goal is to qualify for nationals, and that happened. The peak went, fairly decent. I'd say for vast majority of competitors, a peak like that, they'd be pretty happy with. And then this prior prep, we started at a place where I was kind of borderline, like maybe a little too fat, maybe, not enough time for to get lean enough to look like how I want to look at nationals. So the diet was a little more aggressive. It was a little shorter, less calories. So it did, towards the end, get the best of me a bit, as you know. that last month of prep is brutal. So it was definitely tougher in that regard towards the end, especially with all the, special sports supplements, dabbled in some new stuff. So yeah, I mean, that was quite the experience, but I came out, unscathed for the most part. And the big takeaway there was actually Jared Feather handled my whole peak. The one prior, it was Broderick Chavez over at Team Evil GSP. It's pretty much, he gave me his template for it and I followed it. It worked great. It probably works great for most people. But Jared was very, hands-on. He came to the show with me, so he literally handed me stuff to drink or eat at given times. And I think the conditioning showed a lot on stage. My goal internally, I know it's something that, I shouldn't have had this goal because it's something I can't control 100% because you don't know what other competitors are going to, come in as, but I wanted to be the leanest super heavyweight there. And I think looking at the photos now, I was. And that's all thanks to Jared. We pretty much, I would say, nailed down my peak to 90%. So all that data is going to be very valuable going forward whenever I compete next. So, yeah.
Hey, Pascal here. I just wanted to take the moment to talk about our membership site. Inside, you'll find a thriving forum, an extensive exercise library, courses, presentations, and research reviews. All I need you to do is hit the link in the description below and sign up.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think, being at least being your leanest and being one of the leanest or as lean as the leanest guy, very much feels like it should be in most competitors' control, depending on how the peak goes, although that's still in your control somewhat. But I guess, particularly from what I understand on the kind of enhanced side, peaking is a little bit more complicated versus the natural side.
Surprisingly enough, though, Jared peaked me in a way that he would have peaked pretty much anyone else.
Okay.
Yeah. So my first peak, there was some very, very minor use of diuretics. But this one, none, like zilch, which some people go like, what? But you're the NPC. What? Why would you not? And Jared just, he's tested it on himself and, a lot in his previous season. So he was very confident in that there was no need for it. So yeah, toward those last few days, there was none used. And I've never been as lean or as dry as that. It was pretty much all fluid, sodium, and carb manipulation.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, much safer that way as well.
Yeah.
So I guess you probably felt better than what a lot of competitors feel when they hit the stage.
Yeah, I felt great the last few days, the last 24 hours sucked, no fluids. Munching on 100 rice cakes without water, barely any water. It's not as fun as you think it would be.
Just start getting cuts to your mouth. You're like, oh, blood. That's kind of liquids.
real quick, actually. So the aftermath, I don't know why it took a couple days of delay, but as soon as I pretty much landed in Philadelphia, 2 days later after the show, my whole mouth, there was lesions everywhere in my mouth, and it was inflamed, like gums. I couldn't eat anything stiffer than oatmeal without excruciating pain. Like bread, I would bite it and I would have tears welling up in my eyes.
Oh.
Yeah. It was bad for a whole week, to a point where one of my doctors, he had to prescribe me liquid lidocaine to swish it around my mouth.
Oh, wow.
Just to be able to eat. Yeah.
So we're talking, this is sacrifice to win style stuff. I know you're a big fan of that, that philosophy.
Something to be mindful of next time.
Just kind of rewind. I know you said this prep and kind of getting to the level of condition kind of hurt as such, I guess. What for you is the hardest part of that? Is it the enhancements, or is it kind of the mood swings, the hunger, the low energy levels, combo?
It's definitely. So mood swings here and there, nothing too, I mean, obviously you're hungry, you're irritated, things like that. My main thing was the low energy, but that was also from last prep. Low energy and just like not really caring about much. And that kind of like, for me, the worst part is like people that I care about around me. I can't react the way I want to. Like I don't smile as much, I don't laugh as much. And that's what really gets to me, to be honest. It's not, I don't care for the hunger. Hunger's hunger. It, goes away, comes back. You expect it. But it's rough when you can't express your positive emotions, happiness, joy, things like that to people that, you care about and they care about you and they know what you're going through. And it's just hard to kind of like, connect, especially when it's like, a month, 2 months long and it gets worse and worse and worse as prep goes on. So I think for me, that was the worst part.
That's actually really interesting because I guess I have one example, which I don't know if this would relate or not, but the example you've made me think of is actually expressing your own emotions. It's like when I did various shows and did particularly like well at one or what have you, like I just was just like, it wasn't like I couldn't really be happy for it. But the other example was like if my girlfriend was telling me about her day at work and I'd just be like, in my head, like I don't give a shit. Like it's really bad. I don't know if both of those.
It's really bad. but then on the outside, you're kind of like straight, just like, and but you want to care. That's the difficult part. For me, that was rough.
You kind of, I don't know if like it's fair to say you kind of change as a person in a little bit. Like there's less of you, or like,
there's less of you. Yeah, I would say, the change is that there's less of you. Correct, 100%. Yeah, that's exactly
pets,
how.
Right?
Yes, I have a dog, Maggie. That broke my heart actually. So I'd play with her, and then now I play with her all the time, right? But I would not have the energy to just like go up and like, hey Maggie, what's up? And like every time I look at her, I'm like, what's wrong with me?
That's something I noticed. I was like, I walk, like it was very much a process. Like I need to get my steps in. I'm taking you out for a walk. We're not sniffing. We're just walking, pulling her along.
And you get irritated if they're sniffing, but it's like that's what dogs do.
Yeah. And then to talk about, actually, I don't know if it's something you would find easy because it's quite an open question, but like, what is your mentality when you're going through prep? Like your mindset and things like this. Obviously, we joked about kind of sacrifice to win, and there's like people who say they're going to war and stuff. And I in some ways, I can see how people go down that route. But what's your preferred way of like viewing prep and going through the process?
Couple things. Like one, it's something that I told myself I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. As long as it's not, out of range of, things like health markers and things like that, right? And the next thing is mainly, I don't want to disappoint anyone around me, especially like my wife or people close to me that see me constantly. It's like they see what I'm going through, and I don't treat them the way I'd like to. So if I can't pull this through, go through this whole thing, that's like all for naught. It's just like, it feels like icky. And also, Mike, Jared, got a whole team behind me, RP, everyone, I can't let them down. So that's a big thing. And that alone for me, gives me all the like drive I need to go on and finish it the way I want to.
I know from what I've seen in terms of why you like bodybuilding particularly, is like you're very process oriented. You like the data, you like the plans, all of those aspects of bodybuilding big time.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Yeah, especially like you said, I love all that stuff. So when we write the plan out for day one all the way up until the end, and I had my targets, and then I had my empty list of actuals, like a whole column just actual I need to fill out. Oh man, I can't have an off day because then it ruins it for me. I need like 100% completion rate. So that's another thing. Like I'm the type of guy that I don't know if you were like this. You play RPGs growing up?
I have before.
Yes. So you know how RPG is pretty much free form. You can do whatever you want or not do what you want for the most part. I'm that guy that tries to like place an RPG first and then plays it again to get every single side quest and every single like max out every stat. I'm that guy.
Meticulous to, well, I can't even say to a fault because I don't know if that's faulting anything, but yeah, definitely I can see that. And I think that is very much why you've been successful as a bodybuilder, but also in like with RP, and why you're kept on and you do really well there is because you get your job done to a very good degree, and like you put your mind to something, you're going to get it done. So I think that's at least something people can take from that. I imagine the people who you in your head, I say in your head because I imagine they're telling you they're like, you're not going to disappoint me, like it's fine, whatever.
They constantly tell me that,
Yeah.
but like I don't believe them. Like I need to prove myself constantly. No. I mean, I joke, I half joke. Like I know that I could never truly disappoint them in that way, but you know, it's something you have to remind yourself all the time of.
When is I think we said off air, you're like 3 weeks post show, right?
Yeah, I'm in my 3rd week right now. So yeah.
Apart from the mouth issues, how's that like post show period look for you? How, like, has it gone how you wanted it to go? Where are you now? How you seem like you're in a good position, at least. Like,
yeah.
It.
So you know, the first week, as you know, first week or two is kind of weird. It's not rough, it's weird, right? Because like you're getting back to normal, but you're still in that weird, like some days, sometimes the day you're just kind of off. You feel like you're not back in prep, but the mood's weird. So I'm kind of like leveling off now, which is good. My hunger hormones are kind of on its way back to baseline. Although it takes, for me, my last prep took about a month and a half. So this one I assume will take about that long too, maybe a little longer because I do get leaner this time. But besides that, energy is pretty good. Training is, you know, post show training, it's just gnarliest pumps ever, right? Yeah, everything's going fine. Body weight is I'm like at 260 holding right now. That's up from my artificial low the morning of my show of 230. But that's completely dried out and stuff like that. I'd say I'm more like, towards the end of the day, carved up, all that was I waited at 238. So
yeah,
that's a better, like, I guess, marker. So I'd say about up 20, a little over 20 pounds from show day. Put on quite a bit of body fat in that time, which was, that's what we wanted. Try to get that fat back as quickly as possible. Enjoyed myself, ate plenty of good food, was averaging first 2 weeks about like over 7,500 calories a day. So right now I'm back down around 5 to 5,500 calories a day. And my hunger's not too crazy. And yeah, we're trucking along now. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like you said, the post-show period, mentally and like you just feel a bit out of sorts for a while, and like it's fun, but it's also kind of not fun at the same time because you kind of just wanting to feel normal as soon as possible, which I guess the body fat is a big part of that, which is good. That
you get the hunger thing where it's like, especially the first week or two, you eat and eat and eat, and you're full, but your brain says, nah, you're not full, and you can eat more, and then you get to this point where like, oh no, I've overdone it.
I think I've always struggled post-show to allow myself to do things like that. I'm quite restrained. So after my last season, well, not the last, the one before the last, I was like almost over 2 months post-show, and I was up like 5 or 6 pounds or less than that.
Were you afraid to lose the leanness? Is that what it was? Or
I think I thought that I felt better than I did. And I was like, I can just go post-show into a normal mass phase and gain nice and slowly. And it's like, nah. So I think it was a bit of a...
Okay. So you learned from it at least, right?
Yeah. This time was much better because I was in Vegas, so it was like eating out.
Oh, you're
like,
surrounded by all the food.
So I think there was, I mean, according to how much my body weight came up, I must have been in like a 10,000 calories at some days, like where just, but it's easy. It's actually, I guess it's like you said, it just.
No, I bowed down to
in.
you for the 10,000 calorie day. I haven't hit one of those this whole post.
I mean, I didn't track it. I'm just like, maybe I did. I don't know. Let's say I did.
I'm known for having a terrible appetite.
Yeah, you are.
It's getting around.
And actually, that's something I was going to ask in terms of comp prep versus like off-season massing versus cutting. Which do you find easier? Why?
Ooh, as a whole, or a bit? Can I split
it up?
Okay, easiest is for me the first half of a prep. Yeah, because I don't have to cram food down my gullet. And the first half of prep for me, I don't get hungry much. And if I do, I don't mind a little bit of hunger. A little bit of hunger when I'm not deep into prep because, I haven't like built up all that diet fatigue yet. It gives me like this weird boost of energy during the day to be more productive, get more work done. I still have my pep in my step, like very energetic, all that jazz. Training's great. So that's probably my favorite time is the first half of prep. And then I'd say first half of mass is coming close second. You could eat all tasty foods, you get nasty pumps. You're not too fat yet, so it feels pretty good. And then I'd say probably the last half of prep is my third choice. And then the last half of mass, I hate that part. Yeah, where it's like nothing you put in your mouth tastes good. You could have like the tastiest food in front of you where any other time of year you just love to eat. And yeah, it's just a chore to eat constantly. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that part, but
no, that's I call the first like part of prep or like those sort of diets like a honeymoon phase. Like it's just like, I guess it's the honeymoon phase of both. Like we're both in that kind of on that honeymoon phase of mass now, where I'm just like, I have a good appetite, I can eat plenty, and like it just feels good. Whereas I only got to that point of like where I really pushed my body weight up to new heights, which led me down the track of that second half of mass, which I'd always just kind of stayed in that honeymoon point and just then cut that down and didn't push through. But I think there's something to pushing through it.
For sure.
Especially because I imagine your training is going very well still at that point.
Yeah. So do you have trouble with pretty much cramming down food for that last half also?
Yeah, it's like where you have, I don't know, a plate in front of you, you'll be halfway through and you just have to put it to the side because you're literally, like, I got to the point where I was like literally force feeding, where I felt like I was going to gag if I was.
You don't want another Charly incident. Yeah, you don't want.
Do we need to actually? Did we do the Charly incident on the round table? We can do it again. What happened?
Yeah, I'll do a quick recap of it, and anyone that wants more detail, you could go to watch the roundtable. But what happened was about 5 years ago now, or so, maybe 6. Powerlifting, trying to gain weight, cramming food in my face at all hours of the day, and I have a very poor appetite, so it was just like brutal to the point where I was dry heaving and just tears rolling down my eyes at every meal, just like. And like vomiting and putting it back. It was not fun. And that happened for like about several months. And then one day I woke up in the middle of the night, felt really weird because I didn't sleep that night. And then I went to the bathroom and I vomited something that looked like coffee grounds. And I was very confused. And then 5 minutes later, I started vomiting more, but this time it was just blood, and not streaks of blood, just blood. Like someone dumped like a blood packet into the sink. So I drove myself to the ER, almost passing out halfway the whole way through, puking blood all the way into the ER. They put me in the back. They got me to the OR after I puked more blood against the wall and nurses. And I woke up in ICU, and they told me that I had a Mallory-Weiss tear, pretty much split my esophagus in half, like lengthwise, and I was bleeding internally the whole time, and I lost half of my blood volume. I spent
Wow.
a week in the ICU. Took me a long time to recover after that. And they pretty much said, yeah, it was a constant force feeding, dry heaving that constantly put stress on the esophagus and the acid kind of just staying there because I couldn't digest food. And that was mainly because of poor food choices,
Okay.
a lot of fats, which some people are fine with, but I'm Asian, you can tell. The Asians typically don't have, East Asians don't typically genetically digest fats that well. Just from their diets, a lot of rice, root vegetables, things like that. So I was just eating the wrong foods and couldn't digest it properly. And after that bout, Mike, that's kind of around the time I met Mike. Mike's like, hey, why don't you try way more carbs and less fats? He's like, it might be good for you. And I'm like, oh, I never tried that. And I did. And I had no issues regarding dry heaving, things like that from that point on, except during leg training. Then, all bets go out the window.
I guess you're probably far enough away from it now where it doesn't worry you, but it's like, I don't know, any injury or something, you get near to that point and you kind of get a bit of PTSD almost.
Yeah. So I think Mike worries more about it than I do. I don't worry about it too much, but he does every time. Once in a while, he reminds me, when you're eating during mass, make sure you don't eat to the point where you're dry heaving again. So, but I'm like pretty much at this point on omeprazole, which is a Prilosec or things like that. Yeah, 40 milligrams a day, every day, pretty much for the rest of my life.
Oh wow,
Just
okay.
to keep the acid, because we don't want a repeat of that. That was no fun. No fun for anyone.
This because I went to the doctor in the end, to the GP, because I wasn't like, I don't know, it didn't seem ridiculous. Like I'm not huge. Like it's just like I'm just like getting bigger than the average person, but nothing crazy. So they were gonna kind of give me omeprazole and antacids and things. I was like, I don't have any of the other symptoms of why you'd be taking this, apart from I have zero hunger and like zero appetite to eat food. So I guess for you, it mini cut something that you use to help dissipate this or like work with
this?
Mini
cuts help a ton. Yes. Yeah. Like it's only a few small weeks, short weeks of dieting, pretty aggressively. But in those short weeks, I dropped like several percentage body fat and my appetite just like comes back like that. It's like, I wouldn't say starting a fresh mass, but like rolling back at least double the amount time I'd spent in the mini cuts in the mass. So it's invaluable tool, and you're in a better spot, to put on muscle at that point too, because you drop, a little bit of body fat that you probably shouldn't carry. So, yeah.
I think that's whenever people are like they're like, oh, how long should I mass for and things like this. It's like, well, there's two things you have to look at. Either like legitimately you've got a terrible appetite and you're having real problems, almost to the point of force feeding. You're not, I don't know, and you've tried out, you're not just eating all clean food, like with your fiber at like 100 plus grams. And it's just crazy because I guess, you hope people are already going down that route, or you're at like a body fat where it's like, you're getting a bit soft. You can't see your abs when you're flexing type of deal.
Yeah.
And that's where the mini cut comes in. So that's interesting. I think useful for people to hear about. And on relation to kind of calories and macros, I know actually you said your calories, but I've noticed on Q&As on your post, you're not a big fan of giving people out your macros. I'd love for you to share why.
Yeah, so I don't like particularly sharing my exact macros because I know not everyone will do this, but there will be at least a small handful of people that will try to take those macros, guess my body weight, use their body weight, and kind of like come up with this weird like ratio of like what they should be doing. But they don't know my training volume, my training history, my goals, the time frame for those goals, supplements I'm on, and all that. Well, everything. It's not one-to-one. And if it was, then there would be literally one diet with one equation that everyone could run, and it'd be a perfect world, and everyone would be jacked and look the same, right? So I just don't like people, getting themselves in trouble. I think a better resource for that is, leading people like, guys like you, pretty much, RP, like books, read them. They're there. There's tons of free resources. You don't even have to buy them. There's tons of free resources. out there where you can learn. It doesn't take much. You learn and then build your own diet logically for yourself and make the adjustments as needed, rather than just trying to cookie cut your way into something that probably won't work the best for you.
Hi guys, Steve here. Just wanted to take a moment of your time to remind you of our online coaching service. At Revive Stronger, we pride ourselves on providing personalized service that will take your physique and knowledge to the next level. If you're interested, check the description and sign up. Yeah, I think that's so well said, because I guess people are also just genuinely interested, but I just don't know what the value of it would be.
I don't know what the value is, yeah.
Because, yeah, it's like you said, it's completely individual to you, and you're just following the principles which other people should go and kind of follow.
It's kind of it's not the same, but kind of similar to when I see like 150-pound male or female, someone like much lighter than me saying like, "Oh, I wish I could eat that." It's like, well, you can if you're my weight, but I guarantee you that the amount that you're eating in relation to what I am is probably the same amount of fillingness, to our sizes. So it's like, no, you trust me, you don't want to eat that day in, day out.
It's like if you I don't know, you love training, so you look at the same person's workout and you're like, I wish I could do that much volume or whatever it is, because they can probably do a lot more recoverable volume than you.
Yeah.
You just, it would be wrong. So no, that's cool to hear, actually. And actually we got a question. Before I go there, I'm going to ask my pre-programmed final questions was, in terms of like bodybuilding, what is the goal for this off season? Do you have kind of competitive plans already outlined? Where are you looking to go? Are you specializing, or how's that looking for you?
Yeah, so we have a very rough outline at the moment. Our goal is for me to step on stage sometime in 2023, the back half. So it's likely going to be either just shoot for nationals in 2023 or do North Americans and nationals, double shots, 2 chances, and put in between now and then, put on 20 pounds of stage weight. So hopefully I'll be stepping on stage right around high 250s, 260, so that hopefully turn pro. We'll see. That's all up to the judges. And if so, kind of directly roll into the pro leagues, as you call it, right? Because I know a lot of times people turn pro, and one of 2 things usually happens. One, they take a few years to put on the size to even be competitive in the pro leagues, or 2, they just end up not going anywhere. I'm trying to hopefully, shorten that period and just kind of roll into the pro series, league, what do you want to call it? So that's why we're taking such a long time in between this show and next, just so I can put on all that size. And specialization, this is no surprise, my back. Most of it's my back's been the focus for the past, since I started bodybuilding. I think it's come up a lot since then, if you see photos from prior, but there's still a ton of growing that needs to be done back there. So I'd say my back and my biceps, for the most part, side delts. But yeah,
really cool. Yeah, it's cool to. I guess it's the same in the natural leagues as well. Sometimes you see competitors, they go pro maybe a little earlier, like a bit premature, and then it's like it's a bit tough for them. So if you can go pro, and you're a legit pro at that point, then that's where the fun kind of kicks up.
The fun begins, right?
Yeah. What does, for you, specialization, is that leaving the rest of your body at maintenance volumes, or are you kind of putting them just on the back burner so they maybe grow slightly? What's kind of your tend to go to that? Is it, I guess, higher frequencies as well for those body parts?
Yeah, so it's mainly, depends on body part, but like you said, mainly maintenance / slight growth. So I focus, slight growth on maybe parts like my chest, my hamstrings, quads. I think I can get away with just kind of that, MEV. Shoulders, I just hammer all the time. Anyway, I could train them pretty much every day with infinite volume, which people say, oh, that's cool. It's like, no, it's not. I hate it. I wish I could do less volume and, allow them to grow, but I can't. Chest, luckily for me though, those I don't need much volume at all. I just need, like, for chest, maintenance volume for chest for me is like 6 sets a week. So
yeah, I feel you on the delts. They're one of my, I think a lot of people have that with delts where it's just like, they just don't have a high proclivity to get sore and damaged. And they're pretty, well, yours are big, but they're small comparative to other muscle groups. So they just recover super fast.
You can do like literally like 10 sets a training session, and you're like, like I'm tired, but like I can easily do this again tomorrow because I know I won't be sore, unfortunately.
For me, my one special body part, yours is quads, mine's biceps, and it's like I can get away with such little like I do 2 sets and my biceps like crushed, which there doesn't seem to be many people that have that.
No, that's super rare. Yeah. I need like to focus on my biceps. My last training cycle, I was hitting them 3 times a week for my final meso, 8 sets per session.
Wow. Yeah, to me, that would just, I don't even know, they just wouldn't be able to recover from it. They'd just be
it'll just be junk volume for, like a third of the way through at that point for you.
But then my quads, they can get up close to 20 sets if I need them to, like.
I like my trade-off. I don't want to do that many sets of hack squats.
Yeah, true. And this is why, like we said before, like the diet, the training, like if Charlie did my program, I did his, it would just be completely like bonkers. And actually, this is one of the questions we got that came through. So I guess you can expand on that. Where is it? It was from, to get the name, Petros Nazos. He said, what is your difference in training versus Mike?
Versus Mike. You know what? Not much. I think that's why we're such great training partners. It just meshed so well. It's especially since strength levels pretty much equal for most movements. A lot of times, like I would say 80% of the time, we use the exact same weights. The slight variances in rep ranges, but who cares if someone's doing a few more reps and less, whatever, right? Frequency pretty much the same. Quad volume, we're the same. We don't need much. He might need a set or 2 more than I do, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not much. Hamstrings, we both like 3 sets of hands, and we're smoked. Yeah, that one's that. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that actually. Why we made such great training partners is because we didn't have to keep lugging weights on and off, and our training volume and frequency was the same. So all our training sessions just like lined up perfectly. Yeah.
I imagine Jared can't be too dissimilar from you guys either, can he? Because he's also back, biceps. They're the things he's always working on.
He's not too dissimilar, except calves. That motherfucker needs like 2 sets of calves a year. That's his MEV for his calves. So fuck him.
I think I may have grown my calves. I was using a weighted vest during my prep. I think they might have just grown from that. It's not even the direct work that grew them. I was like, they look bigger. I think it's the weighted vest.
It could be, yeah. Think about it. How many reps per leg with weight on? Oh man. No, I would not be surprised. One of my friends actually, all he does is play golf. He's a little bit overweight. He plays golf a lot, like I would say 2 times a week at least. And his calves are leaner and shapelier and bigger than Jared's.
Oh my God.
No, so if you put them side by side, you say which one's the bodybuilder, you'd be like, I mean, they're both bodybuilders, but this one's definitely the better bodybuilder. Wrong.
Jared, his calves are absolutely ginormous.
That'll make sense.
Are you still doing your, and I guess actually you periodize it a little bit. I don't know if Jared also does, because I think he did it maybe a little bit more permanently. I think you all probably periodize it though. AM and PM training, are you still splitting up sessions, or some you do, some you don't?
Right now I'm not. It's like my post-show rebound phase, about a month long. It's really interesting. It's like only time I have like a loosely structured training phase where I just do.
You hate it?
No.
You like it?
Yeah. So I usually hate this. I usually hate this, but I love it because as you know, the pumps are just like, you can't hate a giant pump, right? So I just do 3 pretty much training days, back buys, legs, and all push. And I just keep rotating them. And there's no rhyme or reason. And I take days off when I need. Pretty loose. But other time they're near, like this match coming up, likely will be 6 days of training, and 2 of them will be AM PM. We've we've Mike and I have tried upwards of 13 sessions a week. So out of the 6 days, we do 5 2-a-days. And what we learned, at least for us, is that the benefit we got from that, I mean, we couldn't see it. So we decided to scale back and kind of try less and less training volumes, even up to a point where I think I was doing only 1-a-days. And that was maybe a little not enough, especially because during that PM, I usually just hit my shoulders a lot, and that needs a ton of volume. So I think where I landed, at least, I think he did too, is that for us, 2-a-days a week works really well, especially since that PM session is just to hit some shoulders and biceps. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's something I've played around. I did like 6 2-a-days for a long time. Right,
Jared did that.
Yeah. That's where my hamstring, like I could legit like train quads in the morning, do hamstrings in the evening and things like this. Whereas now most of my leg training sessions, I do all just in one, because I'm just like, after I've trained my legs hard, I'm wrecked. I don't want to come back. I'm just done. Whereas my upper body days, I tend to do 3 uppers actually. And then I split those up because it's just a lot to do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it feels worthwhile. So yeah, it's cool to hear that you've you've experimented as you'd expect. Let's see, we have time for probably one more good question. So actually, I'm going to ask this one because I think it's going to be a quick answer. So Sarlift Log said some aspect of training he disagrees with on the RP principles. Is there anything you disagree with?
Oh, on the RP principles. No, because I mean, I think if you really understand what the RP principle of training is, it's very broad in that it fits the individual at the end of the day. So yeah, I don't have any issues with any of the principles that we kind of put out there regarding training. There's no set equation or set number of sets that you have to do in regards to any muscle. There's always the caveat, whatever fits you might be different. So you might need to alter this for your needs.
Yeah, I think it's when he calls it RP principles, like you could almost just call them, and I think RP, like the scientific principles. And it's like, like you said, there's lots of roads to Rome, many methods. And yeah, I think it's well answered. That's why I thought it would be a short answer. So then we have one from Victor's Labinger. He asked, I know cereal is your post-workout meal and you like having that. What do you like to have pre?
So I've tried so many different workout meals, like big ones, small ones, different timing, like close, far, 2 hours away. I think I've landed on, during my mass, I'd like to have a small banana, like something like 25 grams of carbs, something simple, and 25 grams of whey. I sip half of it, and then I have the rest during my workout with like 20 grams of simple carbs. It might not seem like a lot for a guy like my size, but for me, that's what helps me kind of like power me through the workout and also not weigh me down. And once again, this is not something that everyone should do. I know some guys, they like to have a big meal, like an hour before, which is probably fine. If you get through your workout, it powers you through, have at it, right? Some people like Mike, he likes training fasted, which is completely fine too. I train fasted during my prep. I feel better that way. So yeah, right now it's a small dinky banana and a scoop of whey.
And are you doing a box of cereal at the moment? Do you just do a box?
Pretty much. So yeah, so I like to cap my carbs at right around like 250 to 275 grams per sitting. And unfortunately, if I eat the whole box, it puts me right around 300 or so, which is, I know the difference is not much, but I'm like, I'll just save it later, and I end up not eating it or munching on it later. But yeah, almost a full box of cereal, and then like close to a liter of Fairlife or milk with some protein powder.
Yeah, we're waiting for the Fairlife sponsorship deal to come.
Do you guys have that over there?
No, I was saying because Mike kept posting it, like, we don't have Fairlife. No, we have, like, our milk selection is, it's not as good. Lactose-free milk is actually quite expensive here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most things are quite expensive over there in terms of groceries, right? Yeah, from what I hear, at least.
Yeah, it's not quite. We just don't sell it in the same like bulk as well. Like like a liter is like that's big. What was I going to say? I think people. I don't know if this is why, but in terms of the carbohydrate limit, is that down to like digestion and assimilation limits of like carbohydrates per hour or anything like that? Yeah. Okay. It's just.
I've just noticed
I'm trying to science it and
right around that period, like that marker for post workout. Anything more, it sits in my stomach a little longer. But if I have around 250, 275, about 35 minutes to 45 minutes later, I'm like starving, and I slam another 200 grams of carbs, and yeah, it works for me.
I'm going to chuck one more question at you, and this is from JK Lima Oliver. Said the weirdest thing that happened to you as a result of prep. Did anything happen weird in prep?
I had a weird. So towards the end, so if you look at some of my photos on my Instagram towards the end of prep, like the last month, it was weird the whole time, but I only noticed the last month because I'm like, man, I'm getting like soup, like I'm like I have veins everywhere waking up, like. I have literally nothing to pinch on my stomach. It's like millimeters of skin, right? And like striations everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with my stomach? I was like bloated in my midsection. If you look at my photos, it's like kind of evident in some of them. And it's, I guess something we learned was that my body produces a ton of bloating with Brussels sprouts. I was eating 1.5 kilos a day. Which seems like a lot. Yeah, but the prep prior, I was eating just same amount in broccoli, and I was completely fine. I thought, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, similar. No, not the case. So we cut that out about 2 weeks prior, and within a week, my waist just like shrunk in. So that was really weird and frustrating, very frustrating, because you're getting leaner and leaner and leaner, but then that waist doesn't come in. Oof. As a bodybuilder, getting close to like showtime, you're like, what's going on? So
that's where all those the little things really, like, you notice everything when you're that lean, like the little things really
exactly. And you know what? That's the one time where like I had some self-doubt in my head, in that like I'm like, I know this is stupid. I know this is stupid what I'm about to say, but I'm like, is it GH gut? I'm like, no, it's not the thing. What am I doing?
Yeah, it's hard to keep your head screwed on at that point. Like, you either need a coach or someone who is like overseeing things, so they can just like
and that's
bullshit
where
test
coaches are invaluable, right? Guys like you to lead people through preps. That's where Jared would literally straight up says, cut all Brussels sprouts out and no sugar alcohol. I'm like, is that it? You think? He's like, do it. And like, I'm like, I have doubts, and I'm like, 5 days in, I'm like, my waist is gone.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Charlie, we've come to an hour, so I want to thank you very much for your time. I reckon the listeners have really enjoyed this. And I think you did a really good job of, I was only asking questions about you, but you made sure to like clarify, like, I think if anything, like a big take home is individualization. Like, you made that very evident that like, this is what I'm doing, but it might not be what you're doing, and you've learned along the way. So I think that's been really cool to hear. And if people want to keep following you, follow your journey, follow your off season, follow you go pro at some point, where should they head?
Go to Instagram at Charlton_Banks.
They should know that by now.
Find me there. Yeah.
And then if they want to pick up some clobber, that's also yours. It's Team Full Room. Rom, isn't it? That
Yeah,
is
at
literally
Rom.
what's on your
Yeah,
t-shirt.
that's Mike, Dr. Mike, Jared Feather, and I. And yeah, come check us out also.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you soon. Take care. So I'm Steve Hall, founder of Revive Stronger and a coach of Revive Stronger.
My name is Pascal Flor. I'm the co-owner of Revive Stronger and also a coach, of course.
Revive Stronger has probably been going solidly for 3 years, roughly about 3 years.
Revive Stronger, to me, it is becoming kind of my child, my foster child. It's the gathering and getting together of like-minded people.
We've been expanding the coaching team, which is helping us help more people, but each coach can only help a certain number of people.
Right now, it's all over the place. We have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, but there isn't that community aspect behind that.
And so the next step for us is developing a membership site.
So basically, we want to create a family and a community that is then benefiting from another.
A really cool community for people within our little niche is going to be a website.
They will get early access to our podcast.
You can access us, ask us questions.
The community aspect, we have a forum there. You can ask questions, but also you can log your journey.
There's also going to be courses on there.
Courses, presentations on different topics. Discount of past seminar footage. We will log our journey as well. We'll start vlogging.
We're going to have documentaries.
Our entire athletic journey. Furthermore, they get access to an exercise video library.
The exercises that we love for hypertrophy and maximizing hypertrophy, we're going to go through those in depth, telling you how to execute them.
We kept them concise and also mobile friendly so that you can watch them in between your sets.
I'm super excited to grow this community. The amount of value that we're going to be delivering is huge, and I'd love you to be part of it.
You will get so much out of that.
I'll see you inside.